And we're live. I would like to welcome my guest, our new guest, to our to our show, VosTalk,
Right.
with Benjamin Abramov,
Hello.
the most lovable dean of Forest Hills High School, is here with us today, and we're just gonna go straight at it.
All right. Let's
Everybody
go.
was waiting for this, and so was I, and a lot of kids are waiting for this. A lot of parents were waiting for this. We're gonna go directly to the source, and the source is right here.
Right. I don't know how lovable I am all the time.
Right. So I I prepared a little statement. I actually prepared for this one.
You got it.
So this month, an 18-year-old kid was shot and killed right in front of his high school. Was it North Community High School?
Right.
And then on October 26th, a 14-year-old, I think was a girl, who got shot right next to her high school,
Yeah.
right in Staten Island. And then on April 27th, two kids got shot right in front of their high school, Frenny Lou, right by Francis Lewis High
Right.
School,
Right.
like drive by,
Yeah.
bullets fly. And then in April, there was a girl who got shot and killed right in front of her high school in the Bronx.
Yes.
So, you know, and unfortunately, we all got the email last week. Somebody brought a BB gun to our school,
Correct.
to Forest Hills High School.
Yes.
Now, the question that we all have is, what's going on with kids and guns? When did this become a normal?
Well, it's not normal. I think the ability to get guns is fairly easy because in the past you would have to know someone who knows someone to get in touch with someone to get something.
That's right.
Now, there's an ad on Craigslist. There's an ad in any Facebook marketplace. Anyone could meet you anywhere. You can just put a, Instagram feed, say, I need a gun. And all your friends say, I know somebody. They direct message you, and then you can go and pick up and find one. I think the gravity of the matter is that, we have to figure out why they want to get these guns. Why do they want... And, guns are a little far-fetched. I know we live in New York City, and we hear that it's dangerous, but kids also can get knives and brass knuckles, and they could bring any other kind of weapon, mace, pepper spray, into a school
These
building.
weapons that people talk about, the 3D printed weapons, like you could 3D print a part of a gun.
That's true. I've never seen it in my school. We don't really have much information about 3D printed weapons, but I'm sure it's possible to make them. A pistol, to make a 3D printed pistol, probably,
Right.
but it's very expensive to do that. I think it's cheaper to just go buy yourself a gun.
And just bring it over from
Just,
neighboring states.
I mean, you got to also understand there's a lot of there's gang violence also within a lot of these schools.
Right.
There's a lot of gang violence, and what we as our community we don't really see is that the reasons behind a lot of these shootings in other areas are because there's neighborhood quarrels between one gang and another gang. And some of these things are actual hits. They're not random acts of violence. They're targeted. Like the boy on Kew Garden Hills last week or a couple of weeks, whenever that was,
Yeah.
right on Main Street, that was targeted. That was a targeted hit. And that school was known for, and I grew up in that area 20 years ago when I used to live in Kew Garden Hills.
Which school was that? Is that John Powell?
No, the school is on 70, I'm going to say 77 Road.
Okay.
Between Main Street and Vly Place,
Right.
over there. There's a school,
Yeah.
there's a church,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
behind
yeah.
the church there's a school. That school, I'm not sure what kind of school it is. It's an alternative high school, which means students go there for other reasons. It's not just purely academic. And there are a lot of kids who are coming from different neighborhoods, and this was definitely, a targeted situation. Because initially, if you say, "Oh, Main Street, 77th Road, boy shot," you don't assume it's a black kid that got shot.
Right.
You're assuming it's one of ours, a religious Jewish kid, something like that in that neighborhood. But most of these situations, except for the one by Francis Lewis High School, was a targeted situation. The Francis Lewis thing was...
Kids got killed. I mean, got shot.
Yeah, well, the people were sitting in their car based on what the news were saying, and they They might have an altercation with a group of kids leaving high school because kids travel in packs.
Right.
You have 10 to 12 kids walking to go home, and they said something, and the people in the car didn't like it. They went after them.
And it's just what, like tit for tat, back and forth.
I don't think it was back and forth. I think it was just forth. There was no shooting back from the kids that were in that group. I think they shot from the car, 3 guys, whatever the surveillance showed. But, in the schools, I haven't heard of anything happening in the schools yet.
In the schools.
Yeah, schools are very safe. For the most part, schools are very safe. Forest High School is very safe, right? You're definitely going to hear from students, from parents, that there are unsafe situations in a school, which has always existed. I speak to parents all the time. I tell them that Forest High School is very safe, but you do have unsafe situations. Kids get angry, they fight, they have small little groups that have quarrels with each other and they fight each other, like group violence type situation.
Is that on the grounds or off the grounds?
Sometimes in the building.
Sometimes in the building.
Sometimes, yes. But it doesn't affect the kids who are going to class and staying in class. And it's only affecting these groups that are having beef. They don't want to go outside to end their beef because they know it's not going to get
now, right there.
That, and they know it's not going to get broken up outside.
Mm-hmm.
They know that in school, Mr. Abramov's running down the hall and is going to pull you off, and you're not getting that hurt. You're not going to get jumped by another 20 people. So kids like to show their strength within the building.
So it's a show-off type of thing.
Sometimes it is. You have to understand how these kids think, right? Forest Hills High School is no longer really a community school, right? I speak just for that element. I don't know about the other big high schools in Queens, but when I went to school there many, many moons ago, 75% of the kids that went to that school were from the neighborhood. We used to go after school to the park. We knew where everyone lived. It was very community-esque.
Right, but de Blasio broke it apart.
It was like Bloomberg broke it apart. Bloomberg broke it apart. So Bloomberg wanted to kill the big schools. So what he did was he added elements to education where
Bloomberg really did not like DOE.
He hated the union. He hated the DOE. There are some good things that he did and some bad things that he did for the schools.
Absolutely.
But he couldn't break schools like Francis Lewis, Forest High School, Cardozo, Bayside. Those are the big schools, the 4 sister schools, like we call them. Couldn't break them because the academic population is very good. The kids are very good in our schools. In Forest High, the kids are very good. There's 3,600 plus students in the school. I'm going to, off the cuff, say 90% of the kids, probably more, are really good kids.
I believe you.
Very good kids. And just like any society, because it's a small town, you know, there's going to be the disgruntled citizen, and you're going to have the student who is going to have their issues, emotional issues, personal issues, home issues that may, and they need the support, obviously, but that may, transition back out to other students in the school. So we have to kind of look at not only, this kid's a bad kid, but, well, why are they doing that?
Right.
What's causing him to act out or curse at a teacher or cut class?
The kid that that was stopped with a BB gun at school, is he still in school?
Well, I can't talk about any student in particular, right?
Right.
Because
we all got the email.
You all got the email. There's confidentiality between, what happens to students in school. Because just like if it was your son or your daughter who got in trouble, you wouldn't want me to say what happened to them.
Well, right.
So what I'm going to let you know is that the email that the principal sent out stated that there was a suspicion that something will happen, and the principal gave us the okay to search some students, and then, whatever happens after that is based on the discipline code of the DOE. So the DOE has a discipline code that we have to follow. We don't want to get students in trouble. We want to teach them what they did was wrong, and that it's not excusable. Certain things are not excusable. right? Bringing a BB gun to school is not excusable, but we have to figure out why, right? And the way the city is set up is we have the discipline code explains how students get disciplined based on the infraction they commit. So if you want to talk about weapons, there's two categories of weapons that the DOE actually focuses on. You have a Category 1 weapon and a Category 2 weapon.
What is that?
All right, so a Category 2 weapon would be like pepper spray, right? You have a stick that you sharpened, right, that you want to maybe cause the harm to somebody.
Like a shank.
Yes, like a shank, right? You get a screwdriver and you bring it to school and you want to use it. It's considered a Category 2 weapon because it's a screwdriver. It's not meant to be used as a weapon, right? Then you have Category 1 weapon.
Those are guns.
Category 1 weapons is a gun, is a BB gun, any knife you bring to school, any knife. Doesn't matter how small the blade is.
So it's even if it's a small
category, because you can do it, yeah. If it's
Really?
a Swiss Army knife that has a little blade like that, it's considered a knife. It's a utility knife.
Right.
It's a Category 1 weapon.
It's a Category
1. Bombs, obviously, those are Category 1.
Of course.
Any kind of, any weapon that could cause immediate harm to somebody is considered Category 1. So then when we discover these items on a student, there's procedure. We look at disciplinary record. We look at, has it happened before? We look at severity of it. If it's a 3-inch knife, maybe it's like on his belt. Maybe he has a box cutter, but he, his mom said, oh, he works at the bodega down the street, or he's a clerk at a pharmacy, and he cuts boxes after school. He's zabil. We had a kid who was a barber, and he brought his razor, which is Category 1, his scissors, his clipper, whatever it is.
He's a barber.
He's a barber.
How old is he? He's a barber.
He was 17 years old.
17? Are you serious?
He was cutting his hair. He was cutting hair after school, and he was coming to school. He forgot that he had it in his bag.
Okay.
Right? And he went through when we have the random scanning, the metal detectors, it came up. But we didn't do anything to the kid. We didn't suspend him, right? Even though he had a weapon on him. We don't have to suspend him for that.
Right.
Police don't get involved for those situations because he's not using it to cause harm, right? So we look at every situation independently, and when we do have the random scanning, New York City is a dangerous place.
Yes, it is.
And a lot of kids come from far away, and they do bring mace, they bring pepper spray, they have knives on them for protection. The parents are aware that they have it. At those points, we have to use our discretion on how we're going to discipline the kids. Sometimes it's just a guidance referral. Maybe they got to talk to somebody. Sometimes if the student is constantly misbehaving or this is another time that they were found with a weapon, it could be suspension. It could be something like that. It could be detention we have also.
You still have detention?
Yes, because we have 2 sessions in the school. The older kids will stay late and the younger kids come early. So we have those measures. Most of the time, the parents just need to know, and that's enough.
Right.
Once the parents know, oh my God, they're shocked a lot of times.
Absolutely.
But a lot of girls bring the pepper spray because they're scared. They come from.
They want to protect themselves.
Yeah,
right?
they come.
They use it if they use it. It will only be used as protection.
Correct. But then you look at the situation of what happened in Cardozo, right? The girl sprayed the pepper spray, and then 13 people got hurt. It was Cardozo, I believe. They got all sent to the hospital or whatever it was.
Absolutely, because she got upset.
Right. It was just why we don't want them in the school. She probably didn't want to bring it to school for that reason. She probably brought it because she needed protection getting to school. But again, she got upset. She had something on her in her possession.
She used it.
And I don't know if you've ever been maced with pepper spray.
No. Thank God. I'm okay.
We had a situation in a school many, many, many years ago where a girl accidentally discharged it. And she fessed up to it. It's not like she was trying to harm anyone.
Right.
And, we had to evacuate part of the 4th floor because it was just in the air, and your eyes are tearing. You're coughing. You can't breathe. You can't. It's hard. You're doing all that trying to clear your throat. And that's bad. When you discharge it, that's already a different gravity.
So what do you do with it? Do you take it away? Do you give it back?
We take it. We can give it back to the parents.
So the parents have to
If they say no, we get rid of it. Either school safety takes it or we throw it out.
But usually, a father or mother will give the girl the pepper spray initially.
Yes. And they take it back.
They take it back.
it's a fine line with
Right.
pepper spray. I have 2 daughters. It's a fine line, right?
Okay.
With other weapons, it's not a fine line because then, they're much more dangerous. So we act according to whatever the discipline code says. If
Okay.
it says that this warrants the suspension, we go for it. If it says a disciplinary meeting between parents and the school, that's what we do. There is no just end all be all, right? Unless obviously it's a firearm and somebody shoots
course.
someone, and then there's that's already completely that's criminal. There's completely because we're dealing with children here. The kids.
They don't know. They're learning.
Kids, even if they know, they're still very impressionable, and there's still a lot of time for them to change
Right.
and learn from their mistakes. I have a lot of faith with, especially kids in our community, very good kids. We have, parents are on top of everybody
sure
for
they
the
are.
most part.
I'm sure they are.
And
Benjamin, I wanted to touch those metal detectors that you have in.
yeah,
Is it an everyday issue?
no, I wish we had metal detectors every day.
Well, how does this work?
Every school, don't know how many times a year, gets random scanning. Every high school gets a random few days a year. They get random scanning.
Only a few days a year?
Yes, the schools that don't have metal detectors. The schools that have metal detectors, they obviously don't need the random aspect of it, right? They have them there all the time. But schools like Forest Hills High School, we have them randomly. Now, somebody's found with a knife. Guess what's going to happen the next day? After we report it, next day, for the most part, you're going to have scanning,
Right.
right? And then with that scanning, other things are found as well.
Well, how do you find the knife in the first place?
Kids talk.
So kids talk.
Kids talk. And the kids themselves want to feel safe. They don't want to have a kid in their class with
Right.
with a knife. And they show, look what I have, this blade I have.
Mm-hmm.
The kid is come to the dean's office. Don't say it was me, So we'll go find the kid, pick him up. So what's up? What you got on you? Yes. Someone said that you have this.
All right.
Usually they just kind of just give it up. Oh, sorry, I kind of just wanted to show it off.
So what happens to the kid that came to you and said, hey, that kid has a knife, or that kid wants to bring a knife?
What happens to the kid that says that?
Yeah, you don't write it. I mean, no one knows, right?
No one knows.
Anonymous is anonymous.
Everything's anonymous. Most situations that kids come to, especially to the dean's office, who want to be anonymous, I get the information from them, and then I ask them, where did it happen? Hopefully these kids aren't picking it up if they're watching this, but where did this happen? And they'll say, oh, it happened in my third period class, and then I'll just be like, okay. When I bring the suspect or the accused student, I say, listen, your teacher saw something. Your teacher came to me and said that, something looked very shiny in your book bag. I put it on the teacher because the kid's not going to be like, oh, the teacher's a snitch. The teacher's doing his job or her job.
Okay.
So we have or I say, listen, you were in the hallway. Look, there's cameras everywhere.
But they are cameras.
Everywhere.
I know.
Everywhere.
I saw them.
Just not in the classrooms.
Yet, right?
Never.
They will never put.
Not with our union, never.
Right. That's to protect the teachers.
And
That
the
sometimes-
students. And the
That
students.
sometimes fall asleep.
Was a substitute teacher. But the students, too, you have to protect them, too, because think about it, right? I have 34 students in a class, and
Right.
there's a very, controversial topic. One kid says something, it's a safe space in that classroom. If it comes out somewhere else, that kid has a target on his back.
And that's it. And they go.
And that's going to be a problem. They're going to have to get a safety transfer or whatever it may be. So the classrooms are very,
What happens to the kids that skip school?
skip school.
Yeah.
So if
They
you
leave,
skip,
leave school in the middle of the day, they,
they-
punch in,
do they
they
come-
sign in, and
do
then
they come
leave.
back?
Probably.
If they come back, if we're not busy, there's a lot of kids, right? Not
Right.
many do that, but we usually take their IDs, bring them back to the dean's office, call home, say your son or your daughter left for lunch, and
Mhm.
the parents will say, okay, I hope they had a good lunch.
Okay.
There's not much we can do to reprimand them. We talk to them. We tell the parents.
Well, I mean-
Everyone is aware because the liability is on the school if something, God
Absolutely.
forbid, happens to the student.
Kid leaves, goes home, gets a weapon, comes back.
Or gets hit by a car,
Or exactly.
and it's the school's responsibility to make sure he's there. So we don't let them leave. but we can't physically hold them, right?
Right.
We tell them, don't go, stay. And if they leave, we call home. Your son or daughter left without permission if we see it. Now, we have 24 exits in our school. We're definitely undermanned when it comes to school safety. We only have 4 agents. And there's 15 deans, but we're not on all at the same time because we still teach classes. And we have lunch, and we have, we have cases. So I mean, it's a
But do
big
you have
school.
enough manpower
No.
to watch over?
No.
You don't?
No.
So a school that has over 3,600 students,
Mm.
how many guards do you actually have?
4.
So you have 4 guards,
4 school safety agents, yeah.
and they are all separate. One of them is in the lunchroom, another one.
There's no one in the lunchroom. You have...
There's no one in the lunchroom. So
No,
if the fight breaks out in the lunchroom, there's nobody to break out?
There's a dean. There's always a dean in the lunchroom.
Okay.
And you have 4 school aides, and you have at least 3 teachers who have to do a C6, it's called, like the extra duty that they have to do outside of teaching. They either go to the cafeteria or they're in the halls, or there's a presence always of adults. But the school is set up in a way where you can't have them in every crevice. Our cameras are everywhere, but again, the kids kind of know, let me stand in this corner, let me go into this staircase, because right now everyone is focused on that part of the school. They're not on this part. And the kids know these things. But the school safety aspect is important. We only have 4 because a lot of school safety officers are leaving. They don't want to work in the schools.
Leaving as in they quitting?
They're quitting, or they're going to NYPD, or they're going to state troopers, or they're going to corrections. They're leaving the school safety part of the NYPD.
Isn't that a union?
They have a union, but
and so it's okay for them to leave the union.
They're not leaving the union. They're just getting another job.
Mm.
They're just getting another job. They're just better opportunities. But again, they look at numbers, right? They look at Forces High School is relatively safe. They pull some agents. They put them in other schools in the Bronx or in Brooklyn, where their schools are a little bit less manageable and they need more manpower.
Right. So let me ask you another question.
Yeah.
When you search kids, and how do you search kids? Randomly?
Well, I don't search kids. So searching which way? With the metal detectors or with...
Could be with metal detectors, could be with random searching. You got a tip.
All right, so if I get a tip,
right,
if there's a tip, we bring the student to an office, a dean's office, or one of the assistant principal's office, or the principal's office. And, we, most of the time, we call home first, right? We tell the parents, your child's going to be searched. There's suspicion that they're in possession of something, whether it's drugs, weapon, something that was stolen from somebody else, maybe, that we caught on a camera, so maybe a cell phone. We get an administrator or a principal to okay the search, and then we have school safety conduct the search. Now, sometimes students give it up voluntarily. They feel guilty. They give it up voluntarily. You bring them in, and they already know, what's this for? Listen, someone said something, that you're in possession of something. Oh, I have this. Here you go, Mr. Abramov. Oh. Then they're not really searched after that. I mean, they're searched just as a protocol, but what was needed was found. All right, so that becomes more of a school issue versus a school safety issue. It doesn't happen often.
But what if it's not weapons? What if it's vape? It's a vape pen, or it's another thing that.
So let me ask you a
looks
question.
Like a pack.
Let me ask you a question. Are vapes illegal in New York City?
They're not illegal.
Are vapes illegal for minors in New York City?
They are illegal for minors.
No, they're not.
How are they not? You're not allowed to smoke. Oh, no.
You're
not allowed to buy
or sell to minors.
Yes.
But if they're in possession of it,
okay,
it's not illegal, right? When we were younger, we didn't have vapes, but cigarettes, right? You were always in possession. People were in possession of cigarettes. You couldn't smoke it in school, right? So the rules of the school is if you're in possession of it, there's a gray area there, right? Like, do I go around and looking for everyone with an e-cigarette or a vape? Granted, if I see someone actually using it, it's a completely different story, because now they're vaping in school, right? That breaks a certain boundary between the discipline code and respect.
I'm sure kids push the boundaries.
No, they smoke in my face.
Ah, there you go.
Without intention to smoke in my face, but you turn the corner, and then and then you go like, I dare you to hold that. See how long you can hold it, like from the nose, Bring them, take the vape, we confiscate it. If they don't give it up, we don't really make a big deal about it. We don't want to. We don't want to create a situation where it becomes hostile, right?
Right.
My job is to de-escalate kids. I don't want to escalate them. I don't want to get them beyond a certain emotion. But just like any person, when they're or with authority, a police officer,
Absolutely.
you know, you don't want to escalate the accused person because what's the point?
Right.
I call parents. I tell the parents, you know, I found your daughter or your son with, you know, smoking an electronic cigarette in the hallway. Where is he? He's here. Here you go. And then the parents say, give it to him. Throw it in the garbage. Or they'll say, nothing. Yeah, I know he smokes.
Mm.
Okay, thank you.
And you had those type of parents?
Not in
They
our
say,
community.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Not in our community.
My God.
Not in our community. In our community, their parents are very much against it.
Well, what about controlled substances? When they vape, it could be tobacco. But what about
Marijuana?
It's marijuana.
Yeah, it's worse.
It's controlled.
That's different. Marijuana is already completely, because it's illegal. Not only is it illegal in possession outside of the school, it's completely illegal in the school. So there's different there. If you're found in possession of any of those oil pens that have the
Right.
marijuana in them, again, the discipline code, I could suspend, I could give the substance abuse counselor, I could give to the guidance counselor. Maybe the parent is the only thing that we do at that moment, depending on what was found, how much of it was found. But we do get the kids help. You know, we have a substance abuse counselor in the school. He's very good. He talks to the kids about, you know, what the dangers are of marijuana, of alcohol, of opioids. I mean, we don't have any of those problems in the school with the opioids. I mean, not that I know of.
With opioids.
Yeah,
I thought they start from high school and then they go up.
they're a little more discreet. You
Mhm.
know,
With the pills.
the pills. I've only had one situation. I've been deaning for 12 years.
Right.
I've only had one situation where a female student was found in possession of Percocets, Xanax, but
Oh.
we didn't know if she's selling or she's stolen from her parents or what her intention was. One time. Now, I've
Okay.
never had any other issue with pills because, number one, they probably can't get their hands on it. And number two, because it's a little more expensive. And number two, I think it's just so discreet. You know,
Right.
there's no vapor, there's no smell, there's no
Absolutely.
teacher saying this boy's high out of his mind. He smells like weed. You know, we come in there and we deal with the kid. We have, it's difficult to find. I also am not sure with the opioids if kids in high school are doing it in school or out of school. I think they're a little more expensive than just getting a joint.
It's just
or-
so it's so widely out there.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's so hard to get those pills on your hand. Everybody knows a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy.
Yeah, we have
And
a lot
if
of.
you really want to get those pills, you'll
Yeah.
get them.
It's true. But how do I know, as a teacher, as an educator, what you're high on? Unless the kid is inebriated, and then I ask him. Like when we have students who are drunk.
The old way, a kid that knows a kid that knows a kid. Someone's gonna snitch.
They snitch, but they don't. Kids snitch,
Yeah.
but they only snitch when they see it,
Right.
and they only snitch when they're in danger. If they're not in any of those positions, they won't say anything. They won't. Unless they know that someone is in trouble, you know.
Yeah.
If they feel like their friend is having a hard time and they're addicted to something, then they do come to us. But I haven't had a situation where it was anything pill related. You know, we've had students come to us and they were scared their friends were going to commit suicide because, they said
Right.
they made a post, right, on Snapchat or on Instagram, and they would say, I'm not feeling good today and, I want to hurt myself. They're crying out for attention. They want someone to help them. So come to us, We call home of the person that they feel is in danger. We make contact. This is what happened. There's a post. Please follow up. And they say, "Oh, my son is right next to me. I'll talk to him and see what happens." We have guidance involved, and usually those are okay situations. But with the opioids, I don't think I've ever had a situation in our
Well,
school.
I'm glad that you never had
Yeah,
it. Doesn't mean that they're not there, but
you're probably right.
unfortunately, we'd like to keep it to a minimum, right?
Yeah,
Now we're gonna transition into social media because this is how kids interact.
yeah,
It's Snapchat. It's Insta.
TikTok,
Definitely not Facebook.
TikTok.
It's all TikTok and Snapchat,
Yeah.
right?
Discord. They use Discord. They use
Right. There's
WhatsApp. They use
Be Live is
yeah.
on right now, and
They
everybody's on it.
yeah. They
Um,
use a lot. They use a lot of instant messaging programs
so now you have kids in the class, but their mind is somewhere else.
all the time.
What do you do with it? Do you take their phones away?
We used to.
Right.
Now, I mean, what do you use your phone for?
I know they do this in yeshivas. They take your phone. They take the kid's phone away the second
They
they see
commit
your
to
phone.
yeah.
Phone rings. They use it for whatever reasons. They'll reprimand it. They'll take it, and they'll wait for the end of the day.
We could do that, but we don't all the time because you use your phone not only for the phone, you use it as your Google Pay, your Apple
Right.
Pay, your IDs in there, your schedules in there. I mean, it's a form of kids work on their phones. They have businesses on their
Exactly.
phones. So who am I to remove that from them, right? Unless they're egregious with it, right? They're in my class. I tell them put it away, and they don't put it away. If I never reached out to the parents saying that there's excessive phone usage, and then I just snatch it, after there's a fine line. If the kid is constantly using the phone, and there's outreach to the parents, and then you've made your contact, then that's the last straw, right? Take the phone.
You guys don't take phones and put them in the class. Like when the teacher has it in his drawer, let's say.
What
And
if
then
I
you give
lose
it.
it?
No, it's in the drawer. The kid walks into the class, and 5 minutes into the class, you take you tell him to give me your phone,
Yeah.
and at the end of the class, you give it back.
What if I lose it?
It's in your drawer, no?
Okay. What if I lose it? But what if I lose it?
Well, if you lose it,
I gotta pay for it.
Wha-
Well,
Okay.
I'll give you some teachers. So in my class, for example, I tell my students they can have their phones out, right? Because there's a certain level of usage that sometimes I do with them in class. For example, I give them something to like an ed puzzle software that they could use to use. I teach U.S. history,
Right.
so they'll go on it and they'll do like a quick little do now or something. They use the phones if the laptops aren't available or if the iPads aren't available for me that period. Other than that, just like you and I when we work, we open the phone for a second or two. I don't mind that in my classroom, but I look and I see it. If they're using it excessively,
They're on Snapchat.
yeah, well, they're not in my class because I'll take it away from them in my class. But sometimes they take a picture of the board notes, and then they zoom in and they're copying the notes because they can't see the notes,
Right.
right? They're using it as a tool. So it's up to the teacher's discretion. Some teachers have something called a yonder. A yonder is a pouch that has like a little magnetic lock where every student, when they come in, they put their phone in this pouch and they keep it in their possession. They can't access their phone. And at the end, when you go to a store and you have that magnet and it
Yeah.
opens up, they magnet it or they take it out and they put the pouch down and they leave with their phone. So a lot of teachers use that. That is a tremendous tool because there is no phone usage in the class then.
Okay.
You are completely limiting
That's
the tool.
amazing.
It's great. Not every teacher uses it. We don't have one for every class.
Okay.
All right. In my class as a dean, if I put my foot down, they stop using their phones. There's a lot of teachers who have that kind of presence in the classroom. The ones who don't, they call the deans and we go into the class and we speak and we talk to the parents. Sometimes we confiscate them. 10 years ago, I was taking phones left and right.
Absolutely. I remember that.
Now, no. Once in a blue moon, I'll take a phone.
It's a failed procedure. Is that it?
Yeah.
It just doesn't work.
It's everything to them. Their notes are on the phones. Their Google Classrooms are on their phones. Everything's on their phones. With the pandemic, literally excused them for using phones.
Yeah.
Because I'll say, all right, guys, I got an assignment for you. It's on your Google Classroom. They're going to take out their phone. They're going to look at the Google Classroom. They're going to see, oh, this is the assignment. And they start writing and I collect it. Or they submit it on their Google Classroom.
See, but okay, that's understandable.
Yeah.
But what if they use their phones to bully each other?
So,
Constant bullying. Back in our day, you get a bully, you take it outside,
Yeah.
and you're bullying at school or next to school.
Right.
These days, it's constant.
Yeah. Doesn't go away.
It doesn't go away.
Yeah. You know.
It's constant bombarding.
Yeah.
The bully's friends, other friends, people gang up on you.
20 years, 30 years ago, the bullying stopped when you left school.
Yeah.
You have a summer vacation, there's no bullying. You go home on the weekends, there's no bullying. Now it's with you because of social media.
Right.
If it comes to the attention of the school, we try to do as much as we can, and we're pretty good at it in Foresters High School, to stop it. We investigate, we figure out who it is, what it is, and there's the disciplinary aspect of it.
How do you do that with Snapchat?
They take screenshots. The kids are good. They take screenshots.
Mm.
They screenshot whatever. If anyone
Never
said something,
goes away.
never goes away.
Goes on the bully's record.
Absolutely.
Are
In the
those-
school.
In the school, are those records forever or
In the school.
in the school? So let's say, I'm a bully and I was bullying a girl for whatever reason, and then 30 years later I decide to run for office.
Run for office.
Will that record show up?
The school record won't, but if someone has access to the Snapchat or whatever picture they took of your words and they want to bring it up, that's completely up to them. But the school record gets shredded after 7 years.
Shredded
Shredded.
completely.
Yes.
How is it going to get shredded if it's digital? It's in your system.
Like I said, so if we figure out that, student A was harassing student B, we have a documentation of it in the school.
Right.
Whatever is on the digital footprint, we have no control over.
Mm-hmm.
That stays there. It's up to the victim and the parents to, Instagram, take it down, Snapchat, whatever it is.
But 7 years, you said there is a record. It's a school
After they
record.
graduate. After they graduate.
So for 7 years after graduation, there is
we
still
keep a record because of situations of maybe subpoenas.
Okay.
A lot of students go to the police academy. They want to become police officers. Sometimes
Right.
the police academy subpoenas records from school. We don't usually give records from school because under FERPA laws, right? We protect every single student's.
Okay.
It's confidential. But if it's subpoenaed by the courts, we have to give the record.
And after 7 years,
We shred it. We keep
You
everything
shred it.
7 years after graduation, and we shred it.
it's deleted.
It's because we keep it on paper.
You keep it on paper.
We keep all records we keep on paper. We don't put it. We don't have a digital.
You don't have a database. How
No.
is that possible?
Because look, it's possible because we have. It's an outdated system, but I mean, you can ask all your constituents who are watching. Your pupil path is gone, right? We had
Yeah.
pupil path in the past 5 years, 6 years, and now it's gone, right? All my grades, every anecdotal that I put up there, talking to parents, every email I sent through there's gone because pupil path failed to keep the identities of all the students secure, and they were hacked. So the DOE, got rid of them. If we had a system like that and it's digital and we got hacked, there's a lot of information
Right. Absolutely.
that will be out there. So we keep everything on paper. We have a dean's record. You have folders. Everything is written down on the folders. We have a reporting system that would report everything to the DOE. Every infraction in the school, we report it, especially if they're the higher level infractions, harassment, weapons, drugs, sexual harassment, sex in schools.
Absolutely.
All these egregious acts, insubordinations, vaping, bringing people into the building unauthorized. That's a big one. We don't
Yeah.
play that game because of all the school shootings and things like that. If you
Can't bring a friend. to school
you
day.
open the door for someone in my
Uh-huh.
school, you're getting suspended.
Really?
Done. Because we don't play that game because now I don't know who you're bringing into the building.
Even if it's
Don't
if
care.
it's a student
I don't care.
from the same class, let's say,
Doesn't matter.
you open the door.
Did you make sure the door is locked behind you when you came in?
Mhm.
And look what happened wow, I'm drawing a blank. The elementary school with the school shooter.
With
in
Uvalde.
in Uvalde, right.
Right.
Right? He came in through a side door. He didn't come in through the front. He came through one of the exits.
Well, I think Uvalde was just a shit show with
Doesn't
the
matter.
whole police department.
It could have
was
been prevented if the doors were all secured.
true.
If you live in a house, you keep all your doors. When you're in the house, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you have the kitchen door open, but you're in the kitchen. When you leave that kitchen, that door is not open anymore, right? You
Closed.
close it.
It's closed.
And imagine having 24 exits in a school that's enormous. Everything
And
has
that's
to
why
be.
that's why I was asking you, how come we don't have enough staff to look at these doors? I mean, I know we have cameras looking at those doors, but what do cameras do? Cameras don't record of what happened.
Right.
They don't prevent.
They're not proactive. They're reactive. We have, like, we set up teachers and the people who are available at
right.
hot spots where kids come in, come out. We try to do as much as we can. And when the kid does come in, the alarms go off because every door has an alarm. We hit the cameras, and then we figure out who it is. And then once we figure out who it is, we we started late. Relax.
Okay.
And we figure out who it is, and we do what we need to do to get the parents up. Parents are always involved. I always call home, always. Sometimes from my cell phone.
You or who did I have? Someone called me. I think Alina Amanov. She's in charge of Parent Teacher Association.
Yeah.
Very nice lady.
Yeah, she's PTA and she's SLT, School Leadership Team. I think she's president now. President.
What is that?
The School Leadership Team is a group of people, has some teachers, administrators, parents, and students. They're on this team that discuss major issues in the school and how the school can achieve its goals, whether it's graduation rates, whether it's achieving ELA scores or math scores or whatever it is that needs to be. There's not sure how many. I think there's 4 teachers, the principals there, school aides. There's a group, someone representing each part of the school. All the stakeholders of a school, including students, and any major issues that we have, we discuss during this school leadership team meeting. It's once a month. So
you just go from there. And are there any clubs you guys do in school?
Yeah, we have clubs. I mean, our school, when I speak to parents, they say, "Oh, your kids have to go to yeshiva, right?"
Right.
Yeshiva. I say, "Okay, fine." Number one, yeshivas are expensive. The ones that are comparable to these big schools, they're very expensive. Because to have these programs, it costs a lot of money. So I'm with it. If you can afford it, be my guest, right? If their academics are very rigorous, if they're having the clubs, if they can expose your students to STEM and to law and to theater and to any other program that maybe opens up your eyes as a young person.
Like Forest Hills High School does.
Right. So like Forest Hills High School, be my guest. But those schools are expensive, right? The yeshivas. You go to a cheaper yeshiva, right? Your kids are getting the religious studies. They're isolating the students. You're within your demographic. There's no outsiders. But what else are you getting? You're not getting, a club for, let's say, chess. You're not getting, because you don't have the staff to teach you. You're not getting a STEM class where the kids are learning how to put things together, robotics, things like that. You're not getting any of those things.
Right.
In our school, we get everything. Whatever you want, we offer, as long as there's someone that could present it. And one of the clubs we have in the school, we have a Baharian club.
You have a Baharian club?
We have a Baharian club in the school.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah, we have one. It's ninth period on Thursdays. It's run with one of my friends at the school. He's a social worker. It's Mr. Ischakov. He's very good. He's
Alex.
Alex, yes. He's a very good guy. He really loves the kids. He works with the kids very well.
So what's the club about? About how to be Baharian?
About how to be Baharian, yeah.
Really?
No. It's it's a little bit about that, right? It's really like a Judaica club. It's like a Jewish club.
Okay.
Most of the kids who are there, anyone could come. They don't have to be Baharian. We can't limit to who can go to these clubs, but usually it's our kids that are going to the clubs. In years past, before COVID, we had presenters come once a week. We had attorneys, we had doctors, we had singers, performers, everybody that we could think of. Either I know, Mrs. Hakov, or some of the students want to bring, and these kids could see, opportunities that exist outside of the conventional Baharian career, right?
As in what, barbering?
Barber, 47th Street, pharmacy, things like that.
Right.
Most of the kids' parents, they see, there's a veterinarian, or there's someone who's a singer, performers. They see, we had family lawyers come up. We had real estate lawyers come up. We had dentists, and then kids could see that there's other aspects, and they get the understanding like, oh wow, I have to go to school, right? I want to achieve any of these things, I have to go to school because, not going to school, yeah, maybe you'll get rich. If you have a connection, you have a skill, a talent. Your parents maybe have a business, and maybe school's not for you. Fine, but most of the time, 9 out of 10, education is very important, right? Not only is education important, it teaches you how to think. Right? You finish school, you might not ever use the Pythagorean theorem again, but at least you learn how to think.
But you will. But you actually will.
Yeah.
Listen, yeah, I own a barbershop now, but before that, I was in finance. I was in telecom.
Yeah.
I was in retail. I had many different businesses. I never knew I was going to end up where I am right now. But back then, I used everything that I learned.
Yeah. It's very important. The skills you learn in school, if you focus on it, they're very important because there's just something about it that it's a turnoff for a lot of kids because there's a lot of sitting. Right?
Yeah.
Kids don't like to sit.
Absolutely.
They want to do. You might get that one teacher that's going to make you do. If you don't go to class, you might never see that. And they might open your eyes up to something, right? That's going to get you motivated to get to where you want to be. And I mean, I went to a couple of weddings last week, and there's these kids at 25, 30 years old, they get married. They went to Forsyth High School, and they come up to me, oh, Mr. Abramov, and they say, I'm sorry. Why are you apologizing? 'Cause the way they behave, they cut class. To me, it's disrespectful if one of my students cuts my class, especially if I see him later. Right? It's like, seriously? Especially if it's one a Baharian kid cuts my class.
Why would you do that? Right?
You serious? That's like, I know your mom. You can't do that. Like, it's disrespectful. Right? But they're kids, so they will do. They will push and push and push. Once they learn how not to and accept that this is important for them, they're going to be very successful.
But I think every kid has that teacher that they are very comfortable with, that the teacher is very memorable.
Yeah.
And they base their future on that teacher. I think, and anyone who you could speak with, any person can give you, out of, let's say, 20 or 30 teachers that the kid had, that kid will remember that one teacher that made a huge impact on their lives.
Absolutely.
Whether it was positive or negative. There are negative aspects in that where, a teacher told me that I can't do anything, or brought me down and said that, I should just quit or whatever.
Yeah.
That could break a kid.
Yeah.
Or there's another teacher that saw potential in the kid, even though the kid is not doing well, was not paying attention, or stuff like that. And it just brings that kid up and gives that push, that vote of confidence.
If you look at teachers, I mean, they spend a lot of time, especially on the younger levels, right? Now, high school, I don't spend a lot of time with the kids unless they're in trouble. But on the younger levels, the parents, they don't spend as much time with the kids as the teachers, right? You send your kid to school at 8 a.m. and they're out of there 2:20, and then maybe there's a babysitter or after-school program that they're going to. They come home 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. They have dinner. They say, hi, how's everything? Good. Take a shower. Bedtime, 8 o'clock, right? Weekends is mainly when parents spend the time with their kids.
Right.
So teachers are very important because the teachers may see something in a student that the parent doesn't see.
Absolutely.
Right? Maybe there's a disability somewhere. Maybe there's maybe there's prodigy somewhere. Maybe there's some kind of, maybe they're a genius. You never know as a parent because you never see them.
But that's a good teacher.
Right.
Now,
most teachers are good teachers.
They are. I absolutely agree with you. There are, unfortunately, some teachers that just check out.
They get a paycheck. That's all they want.
They check out. After being a teacher for 15, 20 years, and you only have 5 or 10 years left on your tenure, you just want to check out, relax, let the kids do what they do. All you need to do is punch in, punch out. Go by the DOE rules and regulations, where you don't say anything, when you don't,
Those teachers
rock
don't
the
last.
world.
They don't last.
Don't they?
It's hard for them to last. It's hard because unless they're under the radar,
right,
unless they're under the radar, which is like you're highly skilled at being under the radar and you just do the bare minimum, you get enough. The kids talk. They tell their parents.
Yes,
you
they
know, and the
do.
parents complain, and the parents have to go to the school. They have to go to the principal. They have to go to the administration and explain to them that my son or daughter is not learning. They're not learning, right? Like right now we're live, right? I have no clue how anyone is reacting to what we're saying. Zero.
No,
Only
we
you,
keep that away from
right?
you.
Only
Yes.
you.
Absolutely.
In a classroom, when I teach, I see every single person's face. And I could tell informally, without any writing assignments, who's learning and who's not.
Right.
The kid that's sitting there, he's not learning. So I'll repeat something. I'll call on him. There's something
You'll
about
engage him.
I have to or re-engage or something like that. Right now, there's 34 kids. The public schools have a lot of kids in every classroom, so you can't do that every single second. But at least every day, you know that the one kid over there is falling asleep. Find something for him to do. Right? If the kid is falling asleep and the parents really care, and he comes home and he's a 50 average, but they really care, they're gonna go and they question the teacher. Why does my son have a 50?
Yeah, those are the parents that care,
Well,
and those are the ones that know the education system.
do you need to know the education system to care about your child?
Yeah.
Do you?
Well, you want to. This is the system that takes care of your child when you're not there.
I teach high school. I have 11th graders. If I have an 11th grader whose parents have no clue that there's a report card,
Right.
that's a problem. It's not my problem. It's a parent problem.
It's a parent problem.
Right? How do you not know there's a report? I get it if you're an immigrant, that's completely different. Those are acceptable terms because you're not part of the
Yeah.
system. But if your kid was born in this country and you've been in the system for 11 years, right? How do you
Right.
not know there's a report card?
It slips through.
How?
The parents are, some parents have 2, 3 jobs.
That's okay.
Some parents are.
How many jobs do you have?
It's 9.
You see the report card?
I see the report.
You see the report card, right?
Yeah.
This is your job as a parent. That's how I see it. And I talk to parents that way. Sometimes they don't like to hear it. It's one thing when they get one over on you one time, right? Fool me once.
Right.
But the second time, you can't have your child have the upper hand. You can't. Because once they have the upper hand on you, you lost.
Okay.
And that's when things start to go south.
Right. So parent-teacher conference, right? This is what we do. We have PTA meetings. How often are those?
Twice a year.
Twice a year.
Yeah.
What's the turnaround? Like, how many parents actually do show up?
Well, now we're digital. It's very little.
Hold on. Even if it's digital,
I had 2 last week.
so you host them on Zoom.
Yeah.
And how many people actually turn on?
I had 2.
You had
Parents.
2.
Out
out
of
of-
70 kids, 68 students.
Out of 68 students, you had 2 parents that actually.
Came on and had a
Came
meeting with
on
them.
and
I
had a
spoke
meeting
about their
with them.
child's progress, and these kids are the good kids, so they don't
Uh-huh.
really need any kind of.
Did you do a follow-up with the parents that didn't show up?
All the parents have access to my email. They have
Right.
access to my Google Classroom. Right, they
Okay.
can see all their kids' work, and a lot of times parents don't come to. No, I'm going to come into defense with them. Is because they're already in communication with me. So they'll email me about their child's progress. They don't need to go to a conference because I've already spoken to them on the phone maybe the week before or 2 weeks before. I already told them what their grades are. A lot of parents, they see the grade in the grade book, and that's enough for them.
Right.
They don't want to come to the meeting. Oh, he has an 85. That's okay.
But what about that engagement, that direct engagement between you, the teacher, and the parent of a kid, where you can discuss a growth pattern
Yeah.
of a student, if he's growing, if he's not growing, where he's lagging, where he's excelling. How about that?
the parent? If I feel that there's obviously if the student is really good,
You don't need that, right?
at
That's
11th grade,
understandable.
it's already the parent already got everything down, everything is working.
What about sophomores?
Same thing with
10th graders.
sophomores, right? So like 10th graders, I haven't taught them in a long time, but with the 10th grader, the kids who are doing really well, most of the time the parents got control over their academics. I'm not sure how the behavior and all the other stuff, that's separate. We don't know if they're smoking, we don't know if they're drinking, we don't know any of that stuff, but they
Mhm.
got their academics controlled, right? in ninth and 10th grade, the teachers are a little bit better with communicating with parents. Usually we get more parents, ninth and 10th grade, to come to these meetings, a lot more,
Right.
because they feel like the transition from middle school to high school is very important, and they want to be there and understand,
Absolutely.
right? 11th, 12th grade, not so much.
Right. They're
Yeah.
on their way.
They're on their way, but it's not too late for the parent to grasp and reel them in, right? If a student's got a 55 in my class, and in my class, it's very hard to fail. You know,
You don't fail kids.
if they do their work,
I like that.
if they do their work, I'm all about work. Not everyone could pass a test, but if they show me that they could do their work, and it's good work, it's not just nonsense. If it's good work, and we go through it, why should I fail them? If they can grasp material enough, not all going to be historians, but if they can have enough mastery, and I feel they could pass the regents, why should I fail them? There's no need to fail them, to punish them. We don't punish kids like that,
Okay.
I don't, at least.
Well, let's touch base on crime and punishment.
Mm.
What can get a student expelled from school?
In the DOE,
Yeah.
they would have to be 17 years old, older than 17 years old, and they would have to be in possession of a firearm.
Just on like this is what you could actually get expelled for.
From the system.
Okay. Well, what about repetitive suspensions?
No,
Cannot get
not in a
expelled.
public school, no. There could be a safety transfer. You can have a superintendent suspension where you go to another school for a short period of time, then you come back to your school, your home school. There could be involuntary transfers where we transfer you to another school, but it's all within the DOE. You can't get kicked out. There's no more expulsion until or unless you commit that. You have to be 17 and you have to bring a firearm, a real gun, to school.
But kids with behavioral problems who keeps getting suspended, they do stupid stuff constantly,
I have to fix them.
constantly,
Yeah.
and you're just constantly fixing them.
No, I'm trying to fix them. If I can constantly fix them, they wouldn't repeat it. This is the biggest problem that we have in our school, in Forest Hills High School. We have very small amount of kids, very small, that create a lot of problems for us, right? Fixable, very fixable, but it takes a lot of time. Usually the time is from 9th, 10th grade to 11th grade. Something happens to kids from 10th grade to 11th grade. When they come back to school after that summer, they change. They mature, especially boys. Usually it's
Right.
the boys creating these problems. They mature. Some of them get jobs. They start earlier. They feel
They have a
more.
little money.
They feel a little more responsible. They're less verbose with their mouth. They don't curse as much. They don't, they're more respectful.
Less reaction.
I guess they see themselves more like men. So then they understand that differently.
Right.
Something happens. 9th and 10th grade is tough because that age group.
This is a transition.
Yeah, that age group is tough because they're very much about instant gratification. They're very much about getting independence because now they're kind of like the size of men or women, but their brains are not fully developed yet, and they feel like they can challenge you, but they don't understand that they're challenging you for no reason, behaviorally, not academically,
Right.
behaviorally. What are you going to call my mom for? She's not going to do anything. She needs to know, but doesn't matter. She's at work. What does it matter? I'll leave a message like, relax. It's this. I guess they have it at that age. When 11th graders, 12th graders, they don't care. Call my mom, whatever.
Right.
We'll deal with it when I get home. There's a maturity aspect. And if you out there have kids who are 9th and 10th grade, 8th grade, 7th grade, who are getting to that point, it gets better. But you still have to be on top of it. You have to be on top, and you can't stop because they're going to continue. They're going to nag you, and they're going to continue, and you have to, as a parent, you have to be on top of your kids always. You don't have to hover over them. You don't have to be a helicopter parent, but you have to be on top of them. You have to know where they're going. You have to know who their friends are, the parent to the friends. Don't let them sleep over at people's houses that you don't know. You don't know what's going on in those houses, whether it's drugs, whether it's sex, whatever it may be. You have to be very careful. You can think that your child is going to a friend's house, But if you question, you know the kid, but if you question the parents of that child, don't send them.
Just like that.
Don't send them. I hate you, Mom. Okay, hate me in your own room.
This is funny you should say this, in your own room. When we came to this country, we didn't have our own rooms.
True. Yeah.
We get into a fight with our brothers or sisters or our parents. Where are you gonna go?
Yeah.
You're not
You
going
keep
anywhere.
fighting, or you stop.
Or you fix it.
You fix it.
Or you fix it.
Yeah.
Or you talk it out before you go to sleep.
Yeah.
You don't have a room to go to.
Yeah.
You talk it out.
I think our parents also. I was an only child for 10 years before my sister was born, but I think our parents instilled in us, and we're going to instill in our kids. So you have to understand how this works. It's very cyclical, right? Our parents are the baby boomers, right? We are the millennials for the most part, most of us. Our kids who are in school today, middle school, high school, those age groups, those kids, they're going to learn this from us. The kids who already graduated, they're a little bit different, but they're going to learn from us, right? And we, the millennial, this group from 1981 to 95, that age group, 80 to 95, that age group of parents, we're going to parent like we were parented, right? And I think because we were that group that didn't have anything electronic till we were like 13, 14 years old, and then all of a sudden we got dial-up,
And then beepers.
And then your dad picks up the phone and he's trying to call someone, and you lose your AOL connection. So
Good days.
you still you were online a little bit, but you were outside doing whatever you wanted to do, and you were playing, and you were out, and you were socializing. I think we're trying to, as parents, to instill that into our own kids. Limit the devices, limit the computer.
But these devices, this is their playground. This is where they play.
Control it. You have to control it. You have to try to control it. Take it away, even though it makes them sad.
There are so many parents, including me or my wife, that just don't know how to handle those social media platforms, or where they hang out, or how they talk, or where they talk. Your kid could create a Snapchat account that you don't know about.
Why does he have access to Snapchat? If your child is not doing what they're supposed to do.
But you don't want to isolate your child from his friends.
Why?
Or from what people do.
Why?
Why?
Why don't you want to isolate?
Because then you're gonna make him
upset.
That kid. No, not upset. That kid that doesn't.
It's a short time. It's only a short time. It's a short time. You have to understand. Like, everyone parents differently, obviously, and everyone has different kids.
Absolutely.
Right? You can have angels, you can have devils, and they can be good at home and bad at school, good at school and bad at home. Right? You have kids that are all kinds of kids, but you as a parent, if you create a guideline and the way you parent, you have to stick to it. And you might hurt their feelings sometimes. And it's okay. Kids' feelings need to be hurt. They need to understand that you're their parent. You want what's best for them, and it's your rules, right? And the more you instill that in them, the more, I think, hopefully, they'll respect you for it. Because now it's social media. In 5 years, when your son is 20, it's, Pop, I'm taking your car, I'm going, and then you're not saying, no, you can't take it.
Right.
No, you're not taking the car. But how am I supposed to get there? I don't know. Uber, walk, figure it out. And you have to be like that, because they'll be upset at you. My father's a jackass. He's not letting me. Okay.
But don't you want? I'm thinking as a kid now.
Yeah, I know.
Right. So now I'm a kid, and all my friends, all my 15-year-old friends are on Snapchat. Good. Why would my parent limit me that?
Because he's not.
This is where I hang out with my friends. I'm home. I'm not doing anything. Why can't they just, why I can't text and send a picture of, hey, look at me eating a sandwich or whatever? Why would you do that to me? What did I do to you, Dad?
Are you responsible? It depends on the kid, right? If you're responsible, if the child is responsible and they have certain things that they do at home and you trust them, there's got to be a trust aspect.
Oh, absolutely.
Also, right? If you trust your child and they haven't broken that trust yet, you can give them the Snapchat. You can let them use it to some extent. You can, right? But there's boundaries that you have as a parent. And it doesn't only go down, like, I'm not saying I'm the best parent in the world. What I'm saying is that you have to monitor everything they do, right? Especially as they get older. And if they are not trustworthy and they break your trust often, then sometimes it's better to take it away.
Right.
Take the phone away. And you know what? Say, no, I paid for that phone. Right? Take the service away. I'll use my Wi-Fi. Turn off the Wi-Fi.
You know,
Turn off the electricity in the house. There's a lot of ways.
I tried those things.
Oh.
They don't work.
No?
No. I think I have resilient kids when they say, okay.
How long did you try it for?
A few days.
And but they didn't use it though during that time.
They didn't care.
But that means they don't care about the Snapchat. That means they're not doing anything malicious on it if they didn't care.
No, that's true.
They're not doing, if your kid doesn't care about it and they're going out to play or reading a book, to them the Snapchat's just an outlet. It doesn't actually give them there's kids who are addicted to this. They need it, right? I had a parent one time said her son wasn't doing well, and I'm like, you're going to take his phone away. Like, his phone is his heart. Like, no. His phone is in his pocket, not in his chest. Take the phone away. Take it away. Parents are scared to lose those relationships with their kids.
Exactly.
Right?
It's the parents.
But sometimes you don't have to be very aggressive about it. You have to find a way. And usually you have to start at a young age. Once they get that phone, 11, 12 years old, whatever the age group, I'm not sure what the average age of getting a phone is. And the younger they start with the phone, the harder it is to break them off of it.
That's true.
So,
absolutely. And these new apps, they keep getting more addicting and addicting.
Yeah.
Like TikTok, let's say. We're talking about Snapchat. Look at TikTok.
Yeah.
It's impossible to get off it.
Yeah.
Even as an adult.
I know. I don't have Snapchat or TikTok, but yeah.
Listen, I'm telling you, take that phone, you go to the bathroom with TikTok, you'll never come out. It's impossible.
Your legs fall asleep.
That's it.
Thank God I don't have TikTok then.
Our eyes on our kids when we are with them. But most of the time, we're not with our kids. They're everywhere. Their body is here.
Yeah.
Their body's upstairs. But the mind wanders. And you know what they say? A bored mind is a playground for a devil.
Yeah. You have to think about the amount of information that they have compared to how much you had at their age.
Oh, they have 10 times more than I do.
100 times more than you do.
Not the 1,000, exactly.
Anything happens, they have information on what happened instantly on their phone, whether it's a news source or sports or whatever it is, right? Instantly.
Yeah.
Where when we were younger, we had to actually go look it up or actually care to go look, or someone will tell, or somebody will tell you, right? Even socialization with the opposite sex right now is completely different, right? Nobody's picking up girls or meeting up with boys. They're not doing it physically. What's your Snap? And then they start having group chats and whatever, and then they start talking to them through that, and then it builds a relation, and then they finally have a physical, and they don't know how to have. It's very hard for them to actually have conversations like you and I are having right now, face to face. Like when I put my kids into groups,
right?
A lot of kids, not all, have difficulty. They have
believe
difficulty to speak to one another
or look at their eyes.
Yeah, it's very hard. That's the phones. And, if you can get your kids into sports, into music, into anything that could remove that technological aspect of it, it's better. Something.
This is funny you should say that. I just read Steve Jobs' book, and there's a segment where he didn't let his daughter have an iPhone. Huh. Now, how can a guy who created an iPhone is not letting their daughter...
You got her a Samsung?
Should have, right?
Yeah. How? Well, because he understood he understood how addicting it could become. A child's mind, like if you have a 4-year-old, right? Let's say you have a 4-year-old.
I do have a 3-year-old.
Oh, you have a 3-year-old, right? And you give a 3-year-old a tablet.
Yeah.
They know how to use it right away.
It's instant.
Why?
It is instant. They already know what to push and how to swipe up or left or right. It's so instant.
But it's meant to be very easy the way they designed it, because I don't know, there was a documentary on Netflix a while ago I watched. It was about how the people are the consumers. The person is actually the product. Right. The person is the product. They want you to keep you engaged into everything, and the algorithms that are built, and they make it so easy. Right, the iPhone especially is very easy to use, very user friendly. It's click, 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 and you just play a game, and the mind is constantly. And you know what? When your daughter, right? You said When she's on that tablet, is she making any noise?
No,
Is she bothering you?
absolutely not.
And do you like that?
I love it.
Exactly.
But right, I only love it for that short period of time.
Right.
We just turn it on. So
Right.
like, go sit there, and I don't hear you.
Yeah. But maybe you have a short period of time. There are parents who have all the time they're on the tablet. The kids go to dinner. The kids are on a tablet.
That is a problem. No, we have in my house. There's a rule.
Yeah.
Dinner time, every phone, including mine,
Yeah.
my wife's, all the phones are away from the table. We have a little spot where I put all the phones.
Good.
Dinner time, no phones. Most of the time, my phone's going off.
What about when you go out to dinner? What about when you go on vacation?
Same.
Good. But then you see the people, there are parents
Same.
who don't take that away, and you go to a table, and it's hard. I know some kids are
It's
very hard to control,
Extremely.
you know, and you're going to a public place, and you want your child to behave to a certain point, but the kids get that also,
Yeah.
right? They understand, oh, you know what? If I throw this French fry right now, I'm going to get a tablet.
Right.
So they throw a French fry, and they get the tablet because they feel embarrassed. You know, they don't want to the parent doesn't want to be like, we're leaving.
These guys.
Right? I wouldn't want to leave either, you know. It's hard, right? It's hard. Not every kid's the same. So the tablet, 20 years ago, you couldn't just give them a tablet. What do you do?
Right. We're talking about kids and their phones, but what about parents and their phones? We tend to use our phones more frequent than the kids.
What about parents who vape?
In front of their kids.
Yeah.
Or drink. Or do other stuff.
What about parents who vape in front of their kids in a public place? In private, it's fine, but in a public place, like in a building, or you're not supposed to smoke in a building, right? You're not supposed to vape. I don't vape, so I don't know, but you're not supposed to. But let's say your kid's there and you take a hit and you just blow. It's just vapor, right? It's nothing. They see that. You know, these kids my dad smoked for a long time, right? I've never seen him smoke. He quit a long time ago, but I've never seen him smoke as a kid. He never smoked in front of me.
He's a smart man.
You know, he knew that it's not good. Drinking is a different story, obviously, right? In our community, drinking, it's more acceptable.
Yeah. Cultural.
But, it's a cultural thing. It's bad. Drinking is bad. So it's very bad. Can you compare cigarettes? And I mean, they're both horrible, but
Gateway.
It's with the electronic cigarette, it's so much more accessible.
You have a smoke shop on every corner.
Yeah.
And now these smoke shops.
And they're selling weed now.
they're
These
selling
smokes,
weed.
they're selling marijuana. I mean, we get kids with like these sealed bags of marijuana that they, we get kids who are selling vapes. They buy them or they get them from somebody and they sell them in school.
And they get these special the tobacco that tastes like strawberry or mango.
Flavors. And I mean, on the Forces website, we have something about vapes there for parents if they want to read it. There's a lot of informational things. I mean, the chemicals that they put into no one knows what they do to the body yet, right? 100 years ago, women who were pregnant would smoke, right? No one knew. There were no studies. And then, 50, 60 years later, you have women having the children having birth defects, or there's some kind of problem, or there's chromosomal issues, whatever it may be. We didn't know that it causes cancer. It took years, decades to figure this stuff out. This vape stuff in 20 years, we might figure out, oh, it's a different kind of cancer. It's an addictive substance.
Absolutely.
They put the nicotine in. And the kids, and I always tell them, I know it's wrong for me to say something. You're better off smoking a cigarette than smoking that stuff. Because at least you know what's in a cigarette. And you can't chain smoke a cigarette in a classroom. You're going to have to sneak out, take a little hit, and then you're going to come back into the building. And you see that, and they're just like, pop, 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 pop. I don't even know how many packs are in one. It's just they keep hitting it and hitting it, hitting it. It's
right in the class.
A lot of kids do it right in the class.
That's disrespectful.
Yeah.
That's just disrespectful.
They're addicted. They're addicted. And it's available to them. And then they sit at home, and they could smoke, and you have no clue if their room is closed. You have no clue as a parent. There's no smell.
Until somebody takes a picture.
Or you walk in, or you clean the room and you see something. I mean, how many parents?
Yeah.
It looks like a USB thing.
That's
Parents
right.
might not know if they're not. I mean, if my dad sees that right now, he wouldn't know.
Well, we know.
We know.
We know. We'll know. We'll find out. Even my mom would know. She'll find out.
Mm.
We're Baharian. We know these things. We could work for FBI or CIS,
Yeah.
and we'll be like great at it because we'll know.
Investigators.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
all of us.
Huh,
We
I
have
agree.
this in our DNA to
But
investigate,
do we
to find out.
But do we want to go and push the fact that we found out and
Yes,
challenge the
there we
kid?
go.
And do we want to?
But we're not gonna make it public because whatever happens, my kid is the best. My kid doesn't use drugs, vapes, drinks, none of that stuff.
Nobody's perfect. You're going to
course
have
not.
situations where it's potential that your child is going to be doing something that he shouldn't be doing, right? And as they get older, there's less and less control you have over your kids, right? And I always give the example to my students about brainwashing, right? Who's easier to brainwash, a 5-year-old or a 10-year-old?
Probably five.
5-year-old, right?
Yeah.
10-year-old, 15-year-old. Probably the
Probably
10-year-old,
10.
right? And then as you get older, it's harder to brainwash you. And then when you're in your 30s and 40s and 50s, you are already set in your ways. It is very hard to break your the way you think, right?
Right.
When the kids are younger, you have to mold them. These are the age 15, 16 is tough, but when they're 10, 11, this is when they go through their pubescent and prepubescent stage. You got to get them there. You got to
Yeah.
make sure these are the rules. This is what you have to do. Sometimes it's okay to do certain things if you want to try it. Don't get addicted to it. Don't, be around friends. If you have a question, ask me. My kids ask me questions that I would never ask my parents when I was little, right?
Well, yeah, different times, different
Right.
questions.
But there are some parents who still talk to their kids like they're their parents. They don't speak
Yeah.
to them openly.
Yeah.
And I think that discourse is important because, back then I would find out from my friend. Now they'll find out from the Google
Right.
and they'll Google something and then they'll see something that, they're not meant to see. So, some advice to parents is to have open discourse with their kids all the time. Don't scream and yell at them all the time and punish them. If they say something to you, that you may not like, you have to take it in as a parent, and if it needs help, you have to get that help. And it's not bad to get them that help. I've had parents who I had a student once, and I was like, the kid he has learning this, he can't read. He's 15, he can't read, he
Wow.
needs help. I don't want to categorize my child as someone who needs instructional support. But why? It helps them.
Because they're afraid of stigma. It's our stigma.
I think parents who are our age or
Yeah.
new parents that are coming to be, in their 30s or 20s, they have to understand that stigma is only a bad thing. It's negative on your family. Because
Listen, we all understand it's bad,
Mm.
but to actually do something about it, to engage, to say, okay, you know what, my kid is so and so.
Yeah.
Most of us will say, you know what, he'll grow out of it. He's just going through. It's a phase.
No.
It's he's going through from a kid to a teenager to a young adult.
Yeah.
Let's just leave it at that. Let him be. Others will say, no, we need to do this and this and this.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about me and my wife and I actually.
Yeah.
I'm the one who says, all right, you know what? Let's just see where this goes. If it's a phase or he's actually acting out.
Yeah.
My wife is completely different. Well, that's because she's on DOE. She reacts on the spot. She'll react. It takes less than a second.
Mm.
She already knows what to do, what to say, how to do it, everything.
Yeah.
Completely different from what I say. All right. Yes, that does create conflict. But on the positive note, a few days later, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But
And
you stop the kid from doing some stupid
and
stuff.
it's in the air. The kid understands that you're aware, right? The
Yeah.
air is cleared. Everyone knows what they're on the same page. It's not something like, let me try, let me see. And I think with men as fathers, I think even myself, I think I'm more lenient
Yeah.
than
Than the mother.
than the mothers are, and only because I think we see, especially with sons, I think like, let him try it, let him fail and see what happens,
Thank you.
right?
Exactly.
But if he's doing
it.
something wrong,
knowingly,
that's not your job. Is not to make him continue to do that wrong
No.
thing. You
That-
have to
you
nip it in the
stop it
bud,
right
and you have to, especially if it's illegal. because certain things that they might seem like, whatever, I'm making some money, so selling vapes or something like that. I'm
Yeah.
making some money here and there. You're getting other kids hooked on this stuff. Kids
Yeah.
who are maybe more vulnerable than you.
Exactly.
You know,
And you're responsible for it.
yeah. But they don't feel like they're responsible for it because it's their choice to buy it.
Exactly. I didn't make
I
him
didn't
buy
make
it.
him buy it.
He bought it.
Exactly.
It starts from this age. It
Yeah.
starts from 13, 14 and
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. I mean, keep your kids busy. If the more busy they are, I can, with whatever it is. It could be after extracurricular, like after school activities, piano, dance, and I think our community is very good with that. There's a lot of
Oh, yeah.
extracurriculars that my kids do, and everyone they do a lot of, and I think that's good to have. Anything extracurricular. I think that's important, and I think it's important to make sure that kids understand that you know that what's going on. You're not clueless.
That.
I
think that's the biggest point. Is for them to know that we're there.
Yeah.
We know what's going on.
Absolutely.
Like my kid, he knows that, my father knows Mr. Abramov. And if anything happens, it's literally one phone call away.
Yeah.
But what about kids that don't know, whose parents don't know Mr. Abramov? How do you establish that relationship?
Well, if the child is in my presence or in the office, I reach out to the parent, and I have parents come up. There's a lot of parents that I've dealt with throughout the years, and the outcomes for the most part, the kids learn, they grow up, and they're successful people, because in our community we do support each other very well, grandparents, uncles, aunts, things like that. But in those situations when it's actually tough, parents sometimes they beg me, like, what do I do? What do I do? And I can't cross that line already.
Sure.
Because the educator and the school as an administrator or whatever it is that, I can't go beyond that. I can't tell you what you need to do. I can only suggest a few things as a parent, not as a teacher, right? As a parent. The rest is either, we've had parents pull their kids and move because it was getting bad with certain things, with the groups that they were in. They moved.
You're right.
Wherever they went.
Because that's how we react.
Yeah. But that's good because
We
if you
just
can remove your child from the situation, sometimes that benefits them because it's not the parent, it's not the school, it's the friends.
The friends.
Moving
that
to
environment.
moving to another school, maybe a smaller school. Our school's so big, if your child gets lost in the fact that it's so big, maybe it's not the school for them. Maybe they need a smaller school, smaller setting, where you're kind of watched and everybody knows everybody.
I'll be honest with you. It's in the community, how we congratulate our Horian of the month, of the year, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's people that are very successful or people that build buildings or gave a lot to community. I think what we're missing out are real superheroes, and it's our teachers.
There's a lot of us now.
Absolutely,
There's
these
a lot
are
of
the
us now.
people that make our kids who they are. I think the amount of influence a good teacher can have on a kid is tremendous to his future life, her future life.
Right. I agree.
These are the silent superheroes. And I don't say
we're not that
this.
silent.
Well, you are silent. And I say this because my wife is in DOE.
Yeah.
My younger brother, I think he's a real superhero because he's in middle school and he teaches ESL to special kids. I think that is a real
tough.
superhero.
It's very tough.
And there are many people like him out there who are silent, who do their job, but they're silent. And people like you who sees the potential in kids, the good in them, right? Not the one who's out there to get them. You're not the warden of a prison.
No.
You're actually a guy who pushes them to do better.
Right.
Because they can. Every kid has that potential.
Yeah.
Every kid has that potential to be the next, Elon Musk or Michael Jordan or whatever they try.
Yeah.
Every single kid has that. And it's your job as a teacher, as a dean, to amplify it and to make them well aware of it.
I agree with you 100%.
And my hat is off to you guys. And I
Thank you.
want to end the show on this note, and I'll see you guys later. Thank you, Benjamin Abramov, the
Thank
dean
you
of
for having
Forest
me.
High School, for joining us.
Thank you.